Thank you very much, Adriana. Both panelists have covered their two segments, and I want to assure the audience that after the presentation by Nicholas Watts, we will turn to the Q&A section for participation from the audience. But I thank you, Adriana, for raising those issues about sustainable business, human rights, and inclusive participation. Nicholas, over to you. I suspect we'll get some lessons from the international order.
Let me just say, probably it'll be more contextualization rather than lessons, but I really appreciate the points that have already been made about the extent to which Guyana can prove a model for, or Guyana, Suriname and Trinidad and Tobago, a possible model for the Caribbean and even for the Commonwealth. And I'll speak a bit about the Commonwealth context. I am particularly enthusiastic about the introduction of the concept of equity in extraction that Neville Trotz has put forward. Extraction caps, OPEC in reverse, however you like to put it. But I think that would be something to put on the COP agenda, and I would welcome that. And then we have Professor Dr. Mohammed's introduction of the issue of governance. And I think that there are very important issues of both practical governance and of symbolic politics. And if I just say there very quickly, well, let me go into the substance of what I wanted to say. I think, first of all, it's very striking the irony of Guyana's pioneering role in greening in President Hoyt setting aside the Ibukrama rainforest over 30 years ago, at about the same time as the Commonwealth Langkawi Declaration on the environment, and commitments by Commonwealth heads, and this is where implementation research becomes critical, commitments by Commonwealth heads at Langkawi to support the development of an international sustainable development funding mechanism. And I know this has been a focus of the 5 Cs, the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, and to support the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, promote energy efficiency, promote afforestation, restrict non-sustainable fisheries, prevent dumping of wastes at sea, and promote public awareness. Now, this was over 30 years ago. And just as with the UNFCCC and all the rest, we have to ask what has happened and whether here in Guyana there is an opportunity to create from the bottom up, or from a small alliance of states, a model for the wider Caribbean where previous attempts at federation have foundered. And I'm particularly grateful to our chair, to Chancellor Green, for picking up on the discussions we had on setting up a task force at the Caribbean Studies Association meeting in Guyana this year, because I think this is a critical challenge. We need recruits to the task force. We need the University of Guyana to be a leading member at some stage, or the Green Institute, because we can now work more inclusively via Zoom. And I think this is a key to mobilizing universities and policymakers to which the 5 Cs and the Caribbean Regional Fisheries Mechanism have historically been involved in the Caribbean Studies Association meetings, to develop policy research and build skills in policy analysis and implementation across the Caribbean. And I know that Barbados, Cave Hill, those skills are there. Now, I also happen to convene the UN SIDS Sharp End Partnership about development at the sharp end of environmental risk in SIDS. And I would just say there that this partnership that has its roots in the University of Bristol Education in Small States Research Group prioritizes indigenous voices and recognizes the need for those to be heard. Now, if I just say about the Commonwealth, we've also over the past 5 years developed a network of which is an independent forum of Commonwealth organizations, and I can put the link in the chat. And this is addressing what is now called paradiplomacy, which is a term new to me, but diplomacy at the subnational level, so that when mayors, when cities work together, we also have to recognize in the international system that it's not all about nation states. It's also about universities, about sustainable urbanization initiative, which the IFCO, the Independent Forum, has initiated. And that's a partnership between local government, planners, architects, universities, and the Commonwealth Secretariat. And big question here, and I think this has been sort of implicit in what we've heard already, is how to mobilize civil society in support of climate and biodiversity goals, and also how to strengthen the visibility and the clout of a Commonwealth of 54 nations with 32 small states in international policy, such as in the last 2 weeks of the Convention on Biodiversity, COP15 in Kunming in China, and obviously in the forthcoming COP26, and whether this meeting today or the next 4 days, whether this couldn't kick off an initiative to raise questions for the Commonwealth and how we evaluate the contribution of the Commonwealth and its institutions to sustainable development, and also how we move forward to a joint review of the biodiversity COP and the climate COP, possibly in December or early next year, so that these are no longer seen in isolation. Yesterday, we had the award of the Prince William, sorry, I nearly called him the Prince of Wales, Earthshot Initiative, where Costa Rica and the city of Milan each won £1 million for their contribution. Costa Rica to reforestation, and Milan to using waste food to feed the poor. I'll leave it at that, but I really thank my fellow speakers for some really stimulating, thought-provoking contributions. Thank you.